Good morning and welcome in to Cards Central 365. I am your host, Ethan Hannaford, joined today by Grant Salsman. And as always, Cards Central 365 is powered by Gray Bar here on STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Grant, how are you doing on this lovely Father's Day morning?
Doing well. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there, and hoping the Cardinals can find a way to get a series split here in Milwaukee.
Wouldn't it be nice and kind if for the dads out there,
Yeah.
dads, they were able to find a way to you're coming off of before yesterday, you have this ugly 6-game stretch where, let's be quite frank, they looked like crap. They did not look good. Rough stretch for the Redbirds. I think that the fans were spiraling even more than the ball club was personally.
Yes.
But a rough stretch for the Cardinals. And you win yesterday in what was a really well-played ball game. It was a fun ball game. It was a back and even though the Cardinals had the lead, it felt back and forth in the sense of even when the Cardinals had a 4-run lead in the ninth, it didn't necessarily feel entirely safe. I should say more so prior to that when it was 7-4. It didn't feel super safe because of the amount of traffic that the Brew Crew had on during that game. Yeah. But you find a way to win, and all of a sudden, even with how terrible this stretch has been, if the Cardinals could end up winning today's ball game and walking away with a series split in a 4-game series against the Brewers, boy, would they feel a lot better going into this off day? Would the fan base feel a lot better going into this off day? So why can't they just make it easier on everyone today and find a way to win this one?
It's a nice 5-6 run victory, no sweat. Just move on with your day, you know?
Well, let's hope, and we'll have to wait and see, but we hope most certainly that the Cardinals are able to pull out a win today. We're going to talk a little bit about it here, starting with a little bit of discussion over yesterday's ball game. We know there was plenty of fireworks in yesterday's contest, and I asked the fans yesterday, and I would love to get some interaction here and hear some thoughts from anyone that didn't share yesterday, or even if you did share. Wilson Contreras and Rhys Hoskins go back and forth a little bit during the contest. It all started when Contreras, when he was receiving a ball, I believe from shortstop on a ground ball, steps back a little bit too far after already making the out, like he was going to throw it around the horn. It tripped up one of the hitter for the Brewers. I believe it was Durbin, who was running through the bag, as you do. Tripped up Durbin. He goes tumbling. The first base coach, Durbin, and the Brewers dugout, clearly not a fan of what that included, that transaction and everything that was involved. So Rhys Hoskins, the main one that starts chirping at Contreras from the dugout. It was either the next inning or the inning after. Shortly following, Rhys Hoskins gets hit by a pitch, but we have to make sure that we know the context on this. It hits on the end of the bat, right on the knob, and Hoskins' pinky is overlapping with the knob. Okay, so barely hits him. He goes down to first base, and you can see that him and Contreras are talking a little bit, but there's really not a lot of interaction. They're not looking at each other. Contreras had some comments on this in the post game yesterday. Some interesting comments about this. And then the next time that Wilson Contreras steps up to the plate, he gets beamed very clearly, intentionally in the shoulder. He goes and he picks up the ball, puts it in Jose Quintana's glove, the starting pitcher. Clearly, just an amazing move by Contreras. 2 batters later, Nolan Gorman hits a bomb that scores Contreras. So you're thinking, all right, the Cards get the last laugh. Well, they get another laugh in the 9th inning when Wilson Contreras hits a bomb to right center field, gives a nice little stare down into the Brewers dugout, does a nice little trot, some bird flapping around third base. All right, I've gone on long enough explaining the situation. Grant, when you look back on everything from yesterday and all the fireworks that transpired, what were your thoughts on how everything went down?
Well, I think the little bit of the showmanship, I guess, in baseball going a little too far. Like, in no world is Wilson Contreras purposely tripping up the Brewers runner. I think Reese Hoskins took it a little too far, got a little upset about a non-issue, and then good for Wilson Contreras to. And I do think Jose Quintana, while he doesn't throw hard, I think he took even a little bit more off of that 89-mile-per-hour fastball to Contreras. He kind of knew he had to do it, but didn't really go full force with it. Plunked him in the back. Like, I think the whole situation was silly. I think I don't think Wilson Contreras was in the wrong at all. I think it was a mistake that bodies got mixed up, but I don't think he was purposely trying to do it where maybe the Brewers thought he was. Like, I maybe it's a little bias of me, but I think it was all silly from the Brewers' point of view. I guess I get hitting him, but I really don't. It was dumb in the moment because then Nolan Gorman drives him in with a 3-run homer. So I thought it was a non-issue that the Brewers made an issue of, and we might see the Cardinals make more of an issue of it today if Hoskins comes up to bat in a situation that calls for it. I don't know.
And here is why it could get more interesting today. And I tweeted out yesterday. I tweeted out some post-game comments, and I said, "Thank God that this is a 4-game series."
Yes.
Because if it would have been a 3-game series, we know that maybe there would have been fireworks in 6 months, or not 6 months, but 4 months whenever they play again. They don't play again until the end of the year.
Yeah.
So we would have had to wait until we got more action between these two. Wilson Contreras, Jeff Jones threw out this quote from Contreras yesterday that says, "One of their players, he liked to talk from far away, but when he got in my face, didn't say blank. I was looking for more than that. He seems to be tougher. He's a blanking blank. I'm not going to name no names. He knows who he is." Let's see. And then a little bit down, a couple more comments. He was asked specifically about Reese Hoskins by name. He didn't say nothing to me. I was expecting for him to say something, but he was looking away already. Look at my face. Just say it to my face. Whatever you say from the dugout. And he was looking away. Just get off the base. I was like, man, push me. He didn't, so it was good. And then later he was asked about the contact with Durbin. He said, "I know that I'm not here to hurt anybody. If I want to hurt the guy, I'll do worse than that, believe me. But that's my point. Like, why would I hurt a guy that just started his career and he's super young? Like, it doesn't make sense to me." So clearly this was a situation, right, where Contreras is not trying to do anything intentional. But I think the Brewers also have a right to say, hey, watch your footing. It could get a guy hurt.
Yeah.
I think that's totally fair.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also understandable for Contreras to say, now, we don't know if there was more chirping, more barking that was going on beyond just the initial interaction from the Brewers dugout. But we know that Reese Hoskins was the main one. He plays first base, so he knows all about the footwork at the position. Maybe that continued on beyond what we were able to see, and it added a little bit more to this. But it is interesting to hear that there were no words that were said. I say all this to say that it's going to make today's game so much more entertaining because that the crowd's going to get into it. There's going to be booing. The whole, the Contreras brothers, both being there, that just so much is added to it that just makes it so much more fun. And, whether you agree or disagree with how everything went on, like, this is good for baseball. Yes. It's good to have this kind of stuff. So hopefully there's some more fireworks today. Hopefully, it doesn't lead to anything bad. Obviously we don't want to see bench brawling or anything like that. That's never good for the game, right? But I know some fans out there would say, bring it on. We never want to encourage fighting, right? But it definitely is entertaining to see, some of the back and forth between the teams. And it's good, hopefully it gives the Cardinals a little bit of extra fire. We know that Ollie Marmol has never been one to, be afraid to speak his mind, whether it be against umpires or opposing managers. So let's hope that it adds a little bit extra spice to this afternoon's game.
Yeah, I'll say this too. I don't know if you saw Reese Hoskins' post-game interview. He said when
I did not.
asked about what him and Wilson Contreras were talking about at first, he said playing first base, and he left it at that. So that's what Hoskins had to say, probably
Interesting.
before he heard what Contreras said. But also, I think if things escalate in this game, it'll be the Cardinals that do the escalating. I don't think the Brewers will throw at Contreras again because I don't think his brother, knowing what's going to happen now if Contreras gets hit, I don't think William Contreras will allow the pitchers to throw at Wilson. I really don't. So
It definitely helps having little brother behind the plate in that situation. I'd have to
I
imagine.
do think it would be the Cardinals to throw at one of the Brewers if someone gets thrown at today to start it. That's what I think. But also, I think this is great for the Cardinals. You're on a 6-game losing streak. Wilson Contreras, we know, is the energy on this team. And whether it was manufactured, whether he had to fake it a little bit, maybe he wasn't actually as offended as he's acting like he is. But one thing's for sure, to your point, it fired up the Cardinals. And let's hope they take some of this heat in today's game.
Miles Michaelis on the mound today. I will say this as well. We know that he's a guy that's gotten mixed up in some of these situations in the past as well. Be careful, Miles, because I'd be surprised if I see anyone going out and beating anyone unless something more context gets added to this today.
Yeah.
But the leashes are going to be short because the warnings were issued yesterday, because they know all the context behind this and the things that were said. The leashes are going to be short. And if you bean someone, even if it's unintentional, there's a chance that you're going to get ejected.
Yes.
So you got to be careful if you're Miles Michaelis. The same. I'm sure that Pat Murphy is saying the same thing on the other side to Quinn Priester, who is starting today for the Brew Crew. So you got to be careful. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about the Cards ball game a little bit more today. The lineup is out, so we'll get to that here in just a moment. A couple of other things from yesterday's ball game. Andre Palante, felt like we saw two different sides of him. The first 4 innings, very sharp, very efficient. 4 innings in the first 4 innings, 7 strikeouts, just the 1 hit. And then things kind of fell on their head in the 5th inning. A lot of soft contact. I think there was really only 1 ball that was hit hard in that inning. He gets squeezed on a call, so it gets a tough break. But that's kind of, there are pros to having the guy that can induce the ground ball anytime, basically.
Yeah.
Yesterday showed to be there's cons to where you have, the guy that doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. He had a lot of strikeouts yesterday, but not in that 5th inning. So kind of writing out the pros and cons of having a guy that leans heavily on contact.
Yeah, he leans heavily on contact, and we saw those bloop hits get down, but Leahy did a good job to come in, get out of the jam, give the Cardinals an extra inning as well. And it was one of those games that a bad start didn't matter as much with how hot the offense was, how many runs they put up. It finally just felt like outside of that 5th inning, it was a complete performance from the Cardinals.
Kudos to the bullpen yesterday. I know it was a little bit rickety at times, but Kyle Leahy goes an inning and 2/3, 1 hit, 1 walk, but 2 strikeouts, no runs allowed. Jojo Romero, a 2/3 of an inning, 1 hit, 1 walk, no runs allowed though. Phil Maton, perhaps the most impressive, an inning and a third, 1 walk, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts, and 2 of them coming with runners in scoring position in the 8th inning, back-to-back strikeouts to get out of that jam when the tying run was at the plate and you're dealing with the heart of the lineup. That could have gotten really interesting. Yeah. Ryan Helsley allows another home run, this one against William Contreras, and then another hit as well. 2 strikeouts in his 1 inning of work. But, man, it just continues to seem like something is not entirely clicking right now. Yeah. With Ryan Helsley. Is there anything you're seeing right now, Grant, from his stuff and that concerns you, or is it just a period where you just have to kind of ride it out?
It feels like you got to ride it out. I mean, his stuff still looks fine, is sharp. I think it's really just locations. Feels like he's leaving just a little bit too much over the plate with that fastball, and good hitters in the MLB doesn't matter how hard you're throwing. If you leave it over the plate, they're going to hit. So that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like his stuff isn't as sharp as it normally is. It's just he's not quite hitting his spots like he normally would.
Leahy threw 22 pitches yesterday. Romero 21, Maton 33, Helsley 17. So I imagine Helsley, being that he hadn't thrown in several days, is probably available today. Those other three, they're not. So you're going to need to have a good start from Miles Michaelis today to work against this Brewers lineup that will be looking to clinch a 4-game series win. There's no doubt that I'm sure they are wanting that. The Cardinals get back Jordan Walker yesterday. Definitely big to add that right-handed back to your lineup. He went 1 for 3 with a walk. Had a mishap in right field on a ball, but didn't end up hurting the Cardinals. This is a guy that's played good defense all year, so let's hope that continues. I imagine that will continue. But good to see Jordan Walker back in there. And when you add his bat back to the lineup, in a situation like you have today, right, you can platoon a lot more. Now, it's not the worst thing in the world if you have 6 lefties in there against a righty until you get the right-handed or the left-handed guy coming out of the bullpen for the Brewers. So it's good to have a little bit more of an even distribution between your righty and your lefty hitters. Let's hope that Jordan Walker can continue trending in the right direction like he had been prior to his injury.
Yeah, it was really nice to see him back, and on top of it, put together a couple nice at-bats. I think that his defense is still, even with the mistake he made yesterday, still much better than Alec Burleson's. He's just faster in there, like those balls in the alley that are triples on Alec Burleson or doubles on Jordan Walker. So I think it's a really big get to get him back while they were in this tough stretch as well.
Another big name guy back today for the Cardinals that we've been waiting on. If you haven't seen the lineup yet, we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But first, we have to remind you that Card Central 365 is powered by Gray Bar here on STL Sports Central and presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now. Use the code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports. For new customers to play, you pay $5. You get $50 back. That's an amazing deal, guys. Come on. All in Pick 6 credits. You're basically getting $45 free to just throw out on bets. So you get better payouts, bigger wins, and guess what? It only comes with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
He is Grant Salsman. I am Ethan Hannaford. This is Card Central 365, powered by Gray Bar here on STL Sports Central and presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. The lineups are out today, so we're going to go ahead and dive into those. And hallelujah, he is back, gang. Brendan Donovan at the top of the lineup today for the first time in 2025, playing second base. He is followed by Ivan Herrera, who is catching today in the 2 spot. Alec Burleson batting third and playing in left field today. In the cleanup spot, Wilson Contreras at first. You knew he was going to be in there today. Nolan Arenado is batting fifth. He gets moved up to the 5 spot and is at third base today. Nolan Gorman DHing and batting sixth. He is followed by Jordan Walker, who is out in right field. Victor Scott in the 8 spot today rather than the 9 spot. Jose Barrero, and Victor Scott is in center field as usual, and Jose Barrero getting the start at shortstop in the 9 spot. So Mason Wynn gets the day off. So they will pad that with tomorrow's off day. A couple of off days for Mason Wynn should have him nice and refreshed for the upcoming series against the White Sox. So that will be good. For Mason, I have to imagine, just with how much he's been playing. He's been cooling off a little bit as of late, but there's several different things to discuss in this lineup today. First off, I love that the Cardinals are, as mentioned a moment ago, able to get back to the left, right, left, right, left, right. Today it's lefty, righty, lefty, righty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty. So the Cardinals are definitely getting that mix in there. And you know, it was one of the things that we heard opposing managers talk about during the month of May that made it so difficult to be able to game plan against St. Louis, because they have so much ability to go back and forth between lefties and righties in their lineup. it's nice to have that back today. With getting Jordan Walker back yesterday, and then Brendan Donovan back today.
Yeah, and speaking of a lefty, Taylor, Alec Burleson is in there. He's playing left field, batting third today. So no worries there. He has been hot, and he is in the lineup. Yeah, I like this. I like the adapting, getting Lars Nootbaar off his feet. Also a big thing, too. His struggles have been noted, to say the least. Give him 2 days off. Let him hopefully reset his mind, because the Cardinals are going to need him heading into the All-Star break this next month or so. If they want to stay in the playoff contention, they're going to need Lars Nootbaar. So get him into the right headspace, because that's another valuable lefty bat. But this is why it's so big to have Jordan Walker back. It felt like with Walker out, you couldn't afford to bench Nootbaar because you don't know who that other left fielder is. I mean, yeah, you could put Barrio out there or Donovan, but Donovan was hurt too. So it was Siani or Valade, but this gives a lot of more depth to the outfield with Jordan Walker bat, more depth to the lineup. So him being back is big, and it's big to be able to go left-right in the way that they do as well.
For those that don't know, Jordan Walker getting recalled yesterday. Michael Siani was the man that got optioned back down to Memphis. So his stint in the majors this year very short. We'll see if we see him back in 2025. But so Siani back down, Walker back up. And yeah, there are a couple of interesting things to start. Brendan Donovan leading things off. The first time that he bats in the leadoff spot this year. What are your thoughts on Donnie at the top?
I mean, he gets on base. It's what he does. He's great in that 3 spot with runners on, but I like him in that leadoff spot because he's one of the best hitters in the NL. He finds a way to get on base, and why not set the table for the Ivan Herreras, Wilson Contreras, and Alec Burleson, who's red hot as well.
Yeah, I mean, it helps when there's a righty up there today. If there was a lefty up there, I don't know if we're seeing Brendan Donovan leading things off. Perhaps Mason Wynn doesn't get that day off, but it's nice that it works out that way. Your lineup is better when Brendan Donovan is not leading off. Your lineup is better when he is not leading off. But that doesn't mean that you can't have him in that scenario, in that situation. The lineup lengthens out when you're able to use him in the heart of it rather than at the top. Lars Nootbaar, when he is at his normal, at his best, I think is a better profiled guy for that leadoff spot. But he is not at his best right now. The reason that I say that is because of his plate discipline, his awareness. When he's at his best, he can his on-base percentage is right around where Brendan Donovan's is right now, which is 380. But Brendan Donovan is hitting 310 to be able to have a 380 on percentage. Lars Nootbaar can bat 250 and have a 380, 370 on base percentage. That's how good he is when it comes to plate discipline, earning walks, finding ways to get on base. So that's why I say that when Nootbaar is at his best, he is better in that spot. Some people, I don't know, maybe don't like Donovan in that 3 hole. I understand that he's not necessarily the biggest power bat, but like, who cares if he's getting extra base hits? He's near the top of the league in doubles this year. Who cares? I mean, if you're following up with Contreras and Herrera, guys that are more of power guys, then like, does it matter? I mean, I don't think it does, to me.
I think I agree with you, but I do think that I don't know if it makes it worse with Donovan on the top, especially in the perfect world. I agree. Lars Nootbaar in the first month of the season was the better leadoff hitter. But if we see Nootbaar continue to slump, I think him getting moved down probably to the 8th or 9th spot, and then Donovan batting first helps the Cardinals a lot more in the short term until Nootbaar figures out. So I think for where we're at right now in the Cardinals season, Donovan's the best leadoff guy the Cardinals can have. And I'm okay with it right now. I don't think it's the long-term solution. I think third is the best. I agree with you, but he's going to get on base. He's going to give a lot more chances as of now to Herrera and Burleson and Contreras and Arenado. That's what I'm excited about. He will get on base.
Taylor commenting and saying exactly he will be on base, setting the table for all those bats behind him. He profiles better, in my opinion, for at the front of the order instead of the heart of. The problem, right, is that, and I agree, when Lars Nootbaar is not at his best, Brendan Donovan is the better fit for the top of the order. Right now, I think Brendan Donovan is the better fit. But when Lars Nootbaar is at his best, I like Newt there And here's the thing, right? The Cardinals clearly don't want to go lefty to start things off.
Yeah.
They don't. It doesn't make sense to go Nootbaar and Donovan 1-2. Mason Wynn's been hitting well in the 2 spot. So if Lars Nootbaar is performing well, where does Donovan go? Donovan has to go in the 3 spot unless you're going to put him farther down in the lineup. I'm totally fine with that lineup construction when Lars Nootbaar is right, when he is figuring things out. He's not right now, so I'm totally about him, Brendan Donovan, being in that leadoff spot. It's good to have him back today. Let's hope that toe continues to aid, continues to heal, because they definitely need him to be 100% or close to 100%. Ivan Herrera getting moved up to the 2 spot. This is traditionally a spot in recent years where managers put their best hitter. So I think that this is pretty telling overall about what Ollie Marmol, what the organization thinks about Ivan Herrera and the job that he has done in 2025 in this lineup. So excited to see him move up to the 2 spot. It's kind of refreshing. Ollie Marmol had kept this lineup construction pretty similar for a while, which is a good thing. Usually things are working when you don't have to change things up. A couple of injuries, you all of a sudden have to force things out of different spots. I like this lineup a lot today. I really do. I think it looks good with Burleson in the 3 spot. He's followed up by Contreras. Arenado, I still would prefer to have him in the 6 spot, but he's been hitting a little bit better as of late. And then we get down to that 6 spot where Nolan Gorman is DHing. And you see the title above us is Nolan Gorman back, because the kid's been hitting 7 for his last 22, I believe it is now, with 4 extra base hits, 2 doubles, 2 home runs. Nolan Gorman looks so much more comfortable at the plate than he did early in the season. It's not just that he's getting the results. It's not just that he's hitting the ball hard. It's what's leading to those opportunities and be able to work those counts and have better plate discipline and take more pitches. I really like what Nolan Gorman is doing right now, and it gets you excited about if you're able to add that consistent power bat to the lineup, how much that's going to aid the Cardinals, a team that has lacked power all season long.
Yeah, and look, Taylor Garrison saying this looks like a home run hitting lineup. I agree. I think this lineup, you got your big guys in. Burleson's in, and he's hitting well. When he's on, he hits for power. Nolan Arenado hitting a little bit better. He's obviously a power hitter, and Nolan Gorman is the best power hitter on this team. I'm excited for today. I'm excited to see Nolan Gorman continue to take steps. It feels like, people were complaining about the runway and how much he was supposed to be a runway guy and he wasn't getting his chances. I think Ollie Marmol has played this right. He obviously wasn't in the right frame of mind. He gets him into the right frame of mind without him playing a lot. And now you might see him, if he's hitting well, playing almost every day for this stretch where he's hot.
Well, I don't even know if it was necessarily like holding off until they got him right. Perhaps obviously I'm sure he's doing a lot of work behind the scenes, but where were you supposed to play him?
Yeah.
Right? When you look at what Alec Burleson was doing, when you look at what Jordan Walker was doing, Ivan Herrera, obviously, there was just nowhere to play him. So the options were super limited for him. And in his limited opportunities, he wasn't performing at all. He looked lost at the plate, and that's probably where the lack of confidence played in, is because the opportunities were so limited. He wasn't taking advantage of them. In fact, it felt like he was squandering them when he did get the chance. What can you do in those situations? There's not much. It's a tough situation for him. But now he's got things going. He's figuring things out offensively a little bit here in the last stretch of games. So what do you do eventually, right, when you're fully healthy like you are today? I know Mason Wynn gets the day off, but it's going to be very interesting because of how well Alec Burleson's hitting. Because you need Jordan Walker in right field defensively, and because he's a righty bat, so you need him in there most days just to offset things. What do you do with that situation between 4 guys where realistically you can only play 3 of them? Ollie Marmol is back in the tough spot that he was at the beginning of the year. The only difference is now Gorman is hitting. So it makes it even tougher to figure out than it was at the beginning of the year.
That's why Ollie Marmol gets paid the big bucks. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't. This might be bad analysis, but I don't know what the right answer is. The good thing is it's a good problem to have. When you have
Totally.
3 spots for 4 players that are hitting well, you can't complain about that. And then you get to play the matchups. This guy hits this type of guy really well, or vice versa. It's a great problem to have.
It totally is. The problem, right, is that you right now you're saying that because of how quiet the lineup has been, you have to have Burleson in there every day. But Gorman's hitting right now too, so you almost have to have him in there every day. So maybe you're going to have to sacrifice some things defensively. It'll be interesting how long we see the Cardinals go without using Donovan in left field with the foot injury. He's wearing the carbon fiber footwear today. Maybe that continues to aid things, but it'll be interesting to see how long they wait to move him back to the outfield, just for the luxury of being able to have Gorman on the infield playing second base while Donovan's in there, especially while Nootbaar's not in there. There's so many things to take into consideration with this lineup today. This is not it's still not a full lineup with Nootbaar and Wynn not in there. Nootbaar, I think, is getting a couple of days off to get his mind right, but I don't think this is a thing where Lars Nootbaar is moving back into you're not playing every day. No. I think that once we see them get into this series against the White Sox, it's going to be back to it with him. He's probably going to be more so in that 7-8 spot to start things off, but I imagine that he's going to be playing almost every day. So this is going to be a really interesting question for how exactly Ollie Marmol goes about handling this. And like you, I completely agree. I'm glad I don't have to be him. Yeah. Because either way, regardless of how it goes, someone is going to be unhappy with how it plays out.
And
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, looking at this lineup, we talked about Brendan Donovan's foot, his toe. He must be feeling good enough, because I'm pretty surprised with Gorman DHing. He plays second. Why is Nolan Gorman just not at second? Donovan DH, nurse him back a little bit. I think that means that Donovan must be in a pretty good spot with it. That carbon fiber must be feeling pretty good, helping a lot, or because I don't think he would be playing second if there was still a little bit of pain there. So it would seem a good sign.
Yeah, no, definitely. It definitely is a good sign, but I think there's a difference between playing second and playing left field just because of the amount that you have to run and test it a little bit. Taylor's saying it's okay, let Donnie rest half games. We need more days sharing second, start Donnie, work him to the fifth, and then the next day run Gorman out there. Maybe you're saying this specifically because of the injury, but I disagree with this. If Donnie is good to go, you need him in there for full outings. His bat is way too important to take out. I understand trying to find time for everyone, but Brendan Donovan isn't the guy. If he is good to play, if he's telling you he's good to play, he needs to be in there. The only way that I'm taking him out is if he just can't handle it and because it's hurting him so bad. If he's telling you he's good, though, you need to have him in there because he's your best bat. He's been your best bat all season long, and you can't afford to lose that during the late games. I understand your thought on, you need to find opportunities for Gorman to play. I get that, and maybe while he is working back from this injury, this is the time to do that. If Donnie's good to go, he has to be in there. You're going to have to find somewhere else for this to happen. And Taylor saying injuries that reoccur, then it'll be lost longer. Yes, but he's saying he's good to go. Like he's saying he's fine to play. If it's a situation, right, where he's good for 5 innings because he needs like less time on his feet, then okay. But I don't think that they're in that situation with him. I think he would have gone on the IL if he wasn't good to be playing right now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It'll be interesting to see how exactly they go about it. But the last thing I wanted to discuss and hit on here real quick before we wrap things up is Victor Scott II batting in the 8th spot today rather than the 9th spot. I know we've seen this a couple of times this year. I think we even talked about it. Maybe it was last week on 365 ahead of a contest, and Barrero in the 9th spot. What do you think about Victor Scott being moved up from 8 to 9? And just want to hear your takeaways.
Yeah, I think that with Barrero, and I don't think that this is a permanent move. I think it's more of Barrero being a little bit of beneath Scott as a hitter, but also Scott's looked good lately. Maybe you do want to, you have confidence that 5, 6, 7 guys can get on. You have faith in Victor Scott moving them over, driving a run, or getting a hit. So I think it is a little bit renewed faith in Victor Scott. He's broken out of his slump a little bit, but also it might just be that Barrero, when he's in the lineup, is the 9th guy, kind of no matter what.
I think you put your weakest hitter. That's bad. That's a bad term to use. Your worst isn't any better. Like the 8th spot is where I think it is the new 9, right? Where the 9 is your second leadoff. So I think that it's more of it's better to be in the 9 spot than it is in the 8 spot. Personally, I think the 8 spots where we've been seeing Pedro Pages, it's like it tends to be the weakest part of the lineup. That's what it tends to be. So I think more than anything, Victor Scott's looked a little bit better. He continues to adjust against some of this stuff, but it wasn't long ago that this guy was 0 for his last 21 or 22, whatever it was, and looked lost at the plate. That was just this past homestand. So I don't think that Victor Scott is back to where they want him to be entirely as far as how he is seeing the ball. If anything, I think this has to do more with platooning, specifically today, with it being righty-lefty, righty-lefty. Yes. Barrero being a righty, I think that's probably what it has to do more so with anything. But, I could be wrong.
I think too, though, you have some stronger hitters at the bottom part of your order. You have more faith in Scott than you do Barrero, and I do think it's because of platooning as well.
Yeah, so I don't know. Victor Scott II, I don't think is back to the level that they want him to be. And for platooning purposes, I imagine that's probably the reason. So, we'll see what happens with him. Let's hope that Victor Scott can continue to adjust back. I think he's taken some really good at-bats during this series against Milwaukee that I've been encouraged by, because in the prior homestand, it looked like it looked really rough for him. And it was mostly against breaking balls that he just had no chance against. Feels like in this series he's been much more disciplined, and he's fought his way to get those fastballs, and that's where we've seen him be rewarded with some base hits, some RBIs over the last couple of games. So that has been encouraging from Victor Scott II. Miles Mike, go ahead real quick.
No, I was just going to say I totally agree with you. Yeah.
But Miles Michaelis back on the mound today, 4-3 with a 4.48 ERA, 38 strikeouts over those 13 outings this year so far. He is coming off of a rough outing against the Toronto Blue Jays where he allowed 6 runs, and I believe it was 4 1/3 maybe. Either way, it was his second. It was really what you could argue was his second bad outing of the year, dating back to the one against Boston in the spring in a second start of the year. Quinn Priester, 4-2, a 3.65 ERA this year. The Cardinals, not that much experience against him. When I take a look here, Arenado 0 for 3, Contreras 1 for 3, Donovan 1 for 3, Gorman 1 for 2, Nootbaar 2 for 2, Pages 1 for 2, Scott 0 for 3, Wynn 2 for 2. So just one outing, it looks like, for most of these guys against him. So let's hope that the Cardinals are able to jump on him, that they are able to find a way to win this one. And they're both two things. Miles Michaelis has to be good today, has to be efficient, has to keep the ball down in the ballpark. But he also go at least 6 innings because the bullpen, your top guys, are not going to be available today. Taylor is saying, throat clear, need Michaelis to be good. Well said. Well said. Let's hope that Michaelis can get back to what he has been here the last couple of outings, or excuse me, what he has been prior to the last outing for most of the year. Before we wrap, any final thoughts, Grant?
Yeah, need Michaelis to go 6. I think that is my overarching thought, and that also there's going to be some fire today. Some fire from the boys. I think the Cardinals need to go out, and this series split will go a long way for, I think, the fans and the team heading into Chicago on Tuesday.
Final comment here. The first comment we got, Taylor, we appreciate your interaction as well as everyone else in the chat today. Today should be Gorman, Contreras, Arenado, Burleson, Herrera home run derby day. That's what I want for Father's Day. A show of power, time to slug. Let's do it. Birds, you know the mission. Get a win for all the dads out there. We appreciate all of you listening, all of you watching here on STL Sports Central. Card Central 365. Cardinals and Brewers, final game of a 4-game series at American Family Field, getting underway at 1:10 p.m. As always, we will have the post game for you here on STL Sports Central. But until then, we will see you next time right here on Card Central 365.